going to move straight on to our next top performer. Please put your hands together for Neil Chaudhuri. Good luck, Neil.
Well, thank you so much. I'm extremely humbled to have been invited up here today, especially given how strong our Mastermind 25 group is. So thank you so much. So a little bit about me. As you know, my name is Neil Chaudhuri. I'm 34 years old, and over the last 12 months, I feel like I've aged about 12 years with all the stresses, but it's all good, and that's why we're here to push ourselves hard. Born and raised in Leicester, and that's where I've chosen to invest exclusively in high-end student accommodation. And I invest with my wife, Simon Chaudhuri, and between us, we are the owners and directors of Vogabode Properties Limited. Now, some of you know, prior to coming onto Mastermind, I was a golfer and a lot slimmer as well. And golf was my life for many years. Ever since I picked up a club at the age of 9, it was my dream to play professionally. And after leaving school, I got into the England men's team, worked my way up into the elite squad, and I had the fortune of travelling around the world, playing the sport I love, against the likes of Rory McIlroy and Jason Day and some other huge names. And I guess the highlight for me as an amateur was earning my England men's cap and scoring the winning point in my debut against France. Then I decided to turn professional in my mid-20s, and unfortunately that wasn't such a pleasurable experience. I was a professional for 10 years, and my successes were very few and far between, and various injury issues as well kind of meant I had to call it a day quite early. I did have some success. I guess the highlight for me professionally was winning a televised event on Sky Sports called the PGA Euro Pro Tour, and it was broadcast here and in various countries around the world. But unfortunately, it was actually less than 12 months ago I had to make the decision to retire from golf, and that was quite a sad day for me. But it inspired me to come on to Mastermind and meet all you lovely people, and you all picked me up, so thank you very much. So as I said, I invest in high-end student properties, and we really love the student market because we can have renters with guaranteed income. They all come with guarantors. There's no council tax for us to pay either, and also there's no need for en-suites. We provide very high-end student accommodation, but they tend to be groups of friends, and they don't mind sharing some of the facilities as well. And we try and create a really nice lifestyle for the students, and they're happy to pay us a slight premium for that. So about some of the deals that I've done. This deal I actually did prior to coming on to Mastermind. I secured this after doing the Mastermind Accelerator. This was a classic example of a broken chain where the seller thought she'd got a buyer involved. However, they pulled out after several months, and for her, it wasn't about achieving the best price at that point. It was about the speed and certainty of a quick sale. So we were able to secure our very first deal, and it was relatively light refurb actually compared to some of the stuff we're doing now. But we had a great revaluation, £250,000, and we charge £115 per person per week for our student rooms. And that's inclusive of bills. So once you deduct the mortgage and the bills, it leaves us with monthly profit of just over 1,300 and an annual profit of £15,000. And a return on investment on this one after refinancing it is 82%. Now, the first deal I did on my Mastermind year, there's my lovely wife Simona there as well. And that's probably my specialist subject, cheesy selfies. So I warn you, that's not the only one you're about to see. So. But this one was quite an interesting one in many ways because the landlord was tied into a rent-to-rent contract, and she was halfway into a 3-year lease there, but she wanted to sell. She was an out-of-area landlord. But because she was only receiving £650 a month, she was trying to sell for £190,000. it just didn't stack up to an investor. So it was on the market for many months. Eventually I decided to go and see it, and I noticed that there were only 3 rooms being let out. So I realised it actually wasn't working that well for the rent-to-rent company either, so maybe there's a chance that they would surrender their lease early, and that's what we negotiated. So they got out of what was not a particularly profitable deal for them. It freed up the property, and we did an exchange with delayed completion, which enabled us to give everyone certainty that we were going to buy the property. And once we secured the vacant possession, we were able to complete on that. So this one was quite a hefty refurb because we were extending, and we decided to do a re-roof as well. But we've got a good end value on this. And again, our rents are quite high, £115 per person per week. And for students, we tend to charge about £15 for bills. That's what we allow for, £15 for bills as well. And once we've deducted our costs on this one, we're left with monthly profit of just under £1,500 and an annual profit of £16,500 as well. And return on investment on this one is just shy of 39%. Now this is one that we've actually only just secured, and this was secured 100% off market by an estate agent that we've been working really closely with over the last 12 months or so. And we spent that time building up a really good relationship with them. And they offered us an exclusive viewing and first refusal on the property. And it actually suited the owner really well as well, because she didn't want a for sale sign to go up. She didn't want lots of strangers coming in and viewing the property. And for her, it really suited her to be able to sell it off market as well. And the important thing for her was that we could work towards her timescales, which is what we're doing now. And that one's going to be another 5-bed student house. We've decided we're going to go into the loft on this one. However, we could have made 5 beds without doing a loft conversion, but the rooms would have been a little bit small for the high quality that we're looking to provide. And we think for longevity, it's just better for us to provide double rooms where possible. So the end value of this one is £235,000. Again, our monthly rents are all quite similar, based on £115 per person per week. And after all costs, our monthly profit is just under £1,400 and annual profit of £15,000. And the return on investment, and this is after all costs, including acquisition costs such as stamp duty, legals and stuff, is just over 37%. Now this is a big one. You might recognise my good friend and construction manager, Mastermind's very own Chris Pearce here. This photo was just taken a few days ago, in fact. And this is a deal I'm doing with my parents. It's a property they already own, but it's not being particularly well utilised, dare I say it to them if they're watching. And they're currently achieving £26,000, just over £26,000 in rent. It's 2 flats and 1 large commercial premise. And we're going through planning to convert this into 11 high-quality, self-contained studio flats. And the numbers on this are quite staggering given how prime city centre location it is. So we're taking the rent up from £26,000 to over £87,000. And the annual profit after all costs, including mortgage costs, are just over £52,000. And I was there with the valuer on Wednesday, and the NGDV is going to be just over £1 million on that. And the return on investment, if we want, we can pull all of our money out plus a lot more. However, I think we've decided we're just going to pull out the development costs as well, just to get all of our money back out. So, a summary of the figures. So this year I've gone from 5 rooms and I'm set to go up to 33 rooms. I've got another conditional contract subject to planning as well, so hopefully that will go through and take me up to the 33 room mark. And the total GDV of all these properties is just over £2 million, with an equity of £966,500, and my share of that is just under £500,000. Whoops. And the total profit, and this is profit after all costs, mortgage costs, investor finance costs, It's £113,000, and my share of that is just over £87,000. So if I may, I'll just leave you with some of my key learnings from the year. These are things that have worked really well for me. I'm very focused on the area. We've got it down pretty much to a few roads now in Leicester, and we're really just focused on those specific areas. And we've got a very definite strategy, which is just high quality student accommodation. So in Leicester, we have 2 big universities, there's huge demand, and we have pockets of Article 4 as well. And Article 4 has taken me a while to kind of love, but now I do quite appreciate it because it does limit the supply of competition and new housing coming onto the market. My main success this year has been building these relationships with agents, and I'm now not really having to go on to Rightmove looking for deals, having agents phone me before they list them onto the market. And the way I've done that is just really tried to build a relationship over the year. If I get any junk leads coming my way, I'll then refer those to the agents as well, and they appreciate that. I'm not charging them any fees for that. And also, all the stuff we've learned on Mastermind enables us to have very detailed conversations with the agents as well, and that kind of raises our credibility as well. And I would really recommend to get a strong team around you. So this year I've really got a great mortgage broker, fantastic solicitor who's enabling me to do these kind of conditional contracts, the likes of Chris as well, enabling me to do multiple deals at once, which I really would have struggled to do alone. And raise the standards. We're just going for the absolute top of the market in terms of the quality we're providing. And I think why should we settle for less? And without sounding too preachy, I think it is really important to be honest, be kind and be ethical. At the end of the day, property is about people, and it's good to build these long-term relationships with people. And finally, can I just say a couple of very quick thank yous. I must thank my coach, Mike Frisbee, my mentor, Paul Collier, Simon and his great team, but most importantly, a huge thank you to you for making what would have been a difficult year for me into such a memorable and pleasurable one. Thank you so much.